All good. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the December 20th, 2023 meeting of the Lyman Planning Board. This meeting will come to order. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, which we won't because this is a public hearing. If we did, we'd say why. Public hearing remarks. That would make a difference. My apologies. Welcome to the December 20th, 2023 public hearing from the Lyman Planning Board. This hearing will now come to order. The Planning Board is holding this public hearing to review the application of NX207. Please notify the board chair if you have any difficulty seeing or hearing the presentation. This hearing is being recorded and televised on YouTube. All persons speaking will be asked to first state their name and address or affiliation. All questions or comments will be directed to and through the board chair. It is required that you sign the sign-in sheet to document your attendance at this meeting. Thank you in advance for your cooperation.
Could you also mention, please, that we're going to review read the remote participation policy as part of the public hearing?
All right, we will do just that. Read the entire public.
Well, when we get to it, but can we do a roll call, please?
All right, the roll call, starting Kelly.
Kelly Demers, 10 Partridge Way.
Don Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
Joe Wagner, 26 Dave Road.
Bill Single, 8 Single Lane.
Kevin Fair, 64 Butternut Pond Road.
Right, Mr. Stewart, I believe.
Are we gonna have Bill as a voting member?
Well, we don't vote.
It's a public
Oh,
hearing.
no,
No vote.
We'll have to do that.
Yes. public hearing.
I'm trying, Bill.
Oh, we got it. Go ahead, Mr. Stewart, I'm sorry. Okay, so just the presentation on the operations of NX207, please.
Say that again, excuse me?
Your operations, explanation of.
All right, so MX207, a self-contained motocross racing training facility for kids and adults of all abilities to share their love for two wheels, really.
Any questions from the board on the operations?
I think they've done everything we've asked and questioned them, as well as the fire department.
Mhm.
So
Well, the purpose really of the public hearing to see if there's any public input regarding either possibly any complaints or noise or from your facility when it's in operation, or if there's any comments pro or con.
Right.
We don't have very many members in the public here. We have one, I
Any
think.
questions, any comments, sir?
Well, no, just that they've been a good neighbor to me because I live right across the street from
Could
them.
you please identify yourself, sir? For the
Did I?
Identify
He
yourself.
said identify
Bruce
yourself.
Gravel
And we're,
at 38 Bartlett Bridge Road.
thank you, Mr.
And they've been a good neighbor to me. I haven't had any problems with them to speak of. The only problem I have, ain't nothing to do with them, is with side-by-sides and four-wheelers and the speed limit on that stretch of road. It's way too fast, and we got two driveways that are pretty well hidden, and they come around that corner by Bartlett Bridge Road pretty fast, and I'll just see if they, some kind of input about lowering the speed limit and maybe saying something about to the ATV club for slowing down from going up through there and making so much dust. When they have a race, they always water the track, and we don't have a lot of dust, but a lot of dust with the ATVs and side-by-sides. That's, as for noise, the noise don't seem to be bothering us either.
I'm uncertain as to what to advise you on the ATVs, but with respect to the speed limit, this came up with.
Well, I don't know, but the
Well-
cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, with that, the Department of Transportation, the state mentioned that if you can request the municipal officers, the select board, to request a speed study at a location to see if any adjustment could be made.
And I did that back when the sheriff was getting elected. He stopped at the house and put his billboard on it. And I said, the only thing I want you to do is put a cop down here to slow him down. He did for a week or two, and that was it.
But are you talking, I'm sorry, my name is Don Hernan. I didn't know whether you were talking about MX 207 or roads going into it or.
No, just the 202, 4 and 5.
202. Okay, but that has nothing to do with MX
Well,
207
no,
directly.
but I figured it'd be a good time to come down.
Yeah,
Right in
no,
the same
no.
area.
I'm just asking, make sure I understand what you're saying. That's all. Thank you.
Alrighty.
So as an immediate abutter, you have no grievances with the operation of the facility.
No,
Okay?
Any other questions, comments?
Hmm.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
No, you have to read the,
Oh, it's my
I can read
apologies.
it if you want
Yeah,
to.
please do. I'm sorry.
This is,
You're all set. You can sit down.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
not to belabor the issue, but the planning board approved a remote participation policy and requirement of the state law is to have a public hearing on it to see if there's any comments. And I'm just going to read this. It's actually been approved as part of our bylaws, but just to see if there's any public input on the policy, which could lead to a change in it if necessary or if desired, but just to see if there's any interest and input on it. So let me please read this. Town of Lyman Planning Board Remote Participation Policy pursuant to 1 MRS 403B, that's the state statute, and after public notice and hearing, so that's why I have the public notice and hearing, we've had that. The Town of Lyman Planning Board adopts the following policy to govern their participation via remote methods of PB, which was in parentheses for planning board, of PB members and the public at the public proceedings or meetings of the PB. Going to hear PB a lot here. PB members are expected to be physically present for meetings, except when not practicable, such as in case of an emergency or urgent issue that requires the PB to meet via remote methods, or an illness or temporary absence of a member that causes significant difficulty traveling to the meeting location. All PB meetings will be accessible by Zoom or other remote platform when possible. A member who is unable to attend a meeting in person will notify the PB chair or presiding officer as far in advance as possible. Remote methods of participation may include telephonic or video technology, allowing simultaneous reception of information, and may include other means necessary to accommodate disabled persons. Remote participation will not be by text-only means such as email, text messages, or chat functions, whatever that is. Just saying. Applicants appearing before the PB may be allowed to participate by remote methods at the discretion of the PB chair or designee. The public will be provided a meaningful opportunity to attend via remote methods when any PB member or applicant participates via remote methods. If PB input is allowed or required at the meeting, an effective means of communications between the PB members and the public will also be provided. The PB chairperson may instruct the moderator to force mute members of the public who are disruptive to the proceedings. The public will also be provided an opportunity to attend the meeting in person unless there is an emergency or urgent issue that requires the entire PB to meet using remote methods. Notice of all meetings will be provided in accordance with 1 MRS 406 and any applicable charter, ordinance, policy, or bylaw. When the public may attend via remote methods, notice will include the means by which the public may access the meeting remotely and will provide a method for disabled persons to request necessary accommodation to access the meeting. Notice will also identify a location where the public may attend the meeting in person. The PB will not restrict public attendance to remote methods, except in case of an emergency or urgent issue that requires the PB to meet using remote methods of attendance. We're almost there. The PB will make all documents and materials to be considered by the PB available electronically or otherwise to the public who attend remotely to the same extent customarily available to the public who attend in person, provided no additional costs are incurred by the PB. So that's the Town of Lyman Planning Board remote participation policy, which is modeled on the, I think the sample state one and also the one that the select board has maybe with some minor differences. I don't know if anyone has any comments or any members of the public have comments. Public, where public?
Questions?
Oh, there they are. There's two members.
Yeah, we pretty much used this previously, even on one occasion, the applicant, who lived quite distant from us at that time, gave the presentation
Right.
via remote.
Mhm.
So,
But it's supposed to be, it's got to be a written policy and it has to have a public hearing. Which is
got any further comment or questions? Chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's go right into the regular meeting. if That's okay with everybody? Okay. Welcome to the December 20th, 2023 meeting of the Lyman Planning Board. This meeting will now come to order. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you'll have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all exhibits that are offered. If the board votes to go into executive session, the reason for doing so will be stated. Please notify the board chair if you're having any difficulty seeing or hearing. This meeting is being recorded for YouTube. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with provisions of the applicable ordinance or ordinances. After the board votes on the merits of each project, they will prepare a written opinion which will be forwarded within 7 days. The board works from a prepared agenda and will be considering this meeting's items in the following order. We already conducted a roll call. First on the agenda is MX 207. Second is putting the remote participation policy to a vote. 3, Kyle Gassman will be speaking about a removable dock and an easement right of way. Brookview Estate subdivision is next. Rustic Dreams, a review of the site plan review. CEO updates, minutes, and old business. Will you please join with me with the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And long may she wait.
Thank you very much, everyone. I think we already identified ourselves with the roll call, but entertain a motion to recognize Bill as a full voting member for this meeting.
So moved.
Seconded.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Bill, you're in.
Thank you.
Okay, first off, MX 207. Representatives from this business have been before us multiple times in the course of the year. It's just a updating, modernizing of the notice of decision, recognizing of operations. We have gone through the 16 standards at that previous meeting. We had a checklist that was addressed by the applicant to modify the site plan review, a narrative on the location of campers and cars, a general evacuation plan, a basic system for knowing the number of campers and cars and tracking that, a continuing dialogue with the Goodwins Mills Fire Department, and I think that's been a very cooperative exchange, and a description of any prospective expansion of operations.
The only thing I would say about we went to the 60. We got a little bit out of order because we didn't go through the standards. We didn't have the public hearing before we went through the standards. And I would just say not for the record, but just for information, this has been an ongoing review of MX 207. Because you were operating under a previously approved I guess it would be, was a conditional use permit, and then it's expired, and it should have been renewed. It wasn't renewed, as I remember. And so we got into looking at MX 207. We had a couple of site walks, got the fire department involved. I guess the state food guy was involved, right? Regarding, so a lot of effort was put into it, but what we want to do is, I think what we have to do is to generate a new, if we're going to, we have to generate a new, we're calling it a site plan review now. So we have to make sure we do all the steps for the site plan review. That's the whole thing. So we can go down and issue a notice of decision.
I don't think we've heard anything that would change what we already went over.
No, but I think we ought to at least, maybe at least vote that we're not going to change it. Something like
I
that.
make a motion that we vote not to change it.
Change the review of the 16 standards. I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Sounds good.
Yeah, we've covered each one of them
We did
with
in detail.
in detail. All those in favor?
Aye.
I just want to make sure we
Yeah.
don't, because this is a little bit unusual project. We normally, we just follow a sequence, but this one was already existing. We got looking at it and we got out of sequence, is my point.
I think all the bases have been covered.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to write a notice of decision that identifies it.
And just to address something I heard mentioned at the select persons meeting regarding the campground permit. It is not a permanent campground. It is temporary. And they are getting their permits from the state for each and every use that they're doing. So it's not something that we have authority over. They don't have any infrastructure, no septic, no water, no showers. Basically, it's self-contained units parking that's outside our purview. I just wanted to address that because I knew the select board thought about it.
So what else do we have to do with respect to getting the information, Julie, for the notice of decision? Is there anything, do you have enough information so they can start on it?
Yeah, I think because you did the 16 standards,
Mhm.
I went through, I was looking through meeting minutes and went through and jotted down all of the meetings that we discussed, everything. I think we've got everything to do their notice.
Mhm.
Just the wording of it,
And
just putting it together.
Right.
if there is a condition to attach to the notice of decision, maybe just encouragement or a requirement that the applicant continues its dialogue with the Goodman Smiths Fire Department to make sure that if anything, if they have any concerns, that they will be addressed.
Could I just make another comment that we have not, except I think recently, we've started to put into the notice of decision for businesses and well, they're all, actually, they're pretty much all businesses, that there should be an ability to re-inspect every either 3 or 5 years. I don't know that we,
That was part of all those notes.
is that part of that?
That was all part of it, yeah.
Okay, my memory isn't that great, so I just want to make sure we cover our bases.
I think good enough for that. I remember.
Yeah,
Good. Well, was it 3 or 5?
I think it was
Well,
5.
It was 3 to 5 years, just an expanse of time. So basically, she could pick the time to go.
Mhm.
When
Is
it's
it-
quiet, you know?
Do you prefer, instead of a range, a specific timeframe,
I
3?
think the range is fine. I think that's easier. And also the applicant agreed that if there was any major changes out there, that everyone would be notified. And that's what matters more than anything.
Would that go in the?
I think it wasn't, I think that was one of the conditions.
Should be.
So I think just when you restate the conditions in the notice of decision, that covers it.
I hope you don't mind, but instead of a range, could we say a specific timeframe, 3 years? Just so that, this all started with a expiration date on the original conditional use permit coming and going. And I think with the range, there's too much of a possibility of that reoccurring.
Falling through the cracks again.
Yeah, so would we be more comfortable with a set time
How
period?
about if you just do the wording to be at least within a 5-year period.
And I think you even left it that as necessary too. You know, if everything's going fine, they haven't notified us of the change. We haven't received any complaints, then,
Mhm.
you know, why do an inspection? I think you just left it open that we could if we needed.
Okay.
Now, one thing we haven't done in the past and it's come up, do we have any authority to make a condition that the use does not convey with the land?
I don't think so.
No, I think that's,
Contract zoning.
yeah. No, I don't, we haven't, there's
Because if
nothing.
it was to come now, it would have to be under contract zoning. Because this particular activity is not specifically stated, so we would have to fall under contract zoning.
I would say that if there's a lapse, and I think it's 2 years.
Yes.
There's a lapse, and then the applicant, which is another case we have heard, there was apparently, could have been, or may have been a lapse of a couple of years. And then the use wasn't continuous. Well, then the applicant or the new applicant would have to come back and ask for a new site plan review.
And that's in the ordinance anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but we can't, I don't think there's any.
I just
ability
wanted
do
to
that.
ask, put it out there.
Okay.
So do we need a motion to approve the permit or
Yes, sir.
authorize the permit?
Yes, we do.
Make a motion that we authorize the permit to go forward.
With the conditions that the continued dialogue with the Bivensville Fire Department, any changes to the operation of the business would be communicated to the code enforcement officer, and with the possibility of inspection within a 5-year time period. So, I agree.
And that they stay in compliance with any state required.
That's right.
That's important.
For campgrounds and such.
I
That's right.
think
And
if any permit there lapsed or whatever, then that would trigger an inspection.
Yeah, just one clarification on the camping, the state. I know you get individual permits for the weekends where you have events. As far as the practice weekends go, do anybody stay there overnight?
Yeah, there's some people that stay, and I talked about that with was it Sullivan.
Yeah.
And he was fine with everything that we were doing there, and just basically he wanted to ensure that there was no hookups, no septic, none of that. And as much as I would love for that to be something we offered, it whole can of worms opens up when you start going down that road. So
Very good, understood.
yeah, no problem at all.
Yep.
And Mr. Sullivan is the representative from the Department of Health and Human Services for the state. All right. I have a motion. Did you get a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Right, Mr. Stewart, thank you very much.
Wonderful.
We'll get the,
Good luck and success in the operation.
Thank you for coming out.
All right, thank you.
Merry Christmas. The next on the agenda is the planning board remote participation policy. We just conducted the public hearing on that, read it through. We've already used this in the past. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the policy as so written.
Make a motion that we approve the Town of Lyman Planning Board remote participation policy.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Kevin, second. Any further discussion, gentlemen? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay, so that is carried. The next on the agenda is Mr. Kyle Gaston. I want to speak to the board about a removable dock and an easement right of way. We have,
Did he,
now, we will not be,
He had a family emergency come up today and is unable to attend. He will let me know in January when he can come back.
okay. Now we have some letters from the code enforcement office with respect to this. You could look at that in preparation for his appearance next time around. Okay,
Right.
So I'll entertain a motion to table this.
I make a motion to table this application, or this, whatever it is, until the applicant, or till the writer of it, it's from Mr. Gassman, is able to come and speak to the planning board directly describing the issue.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this item has been tabled. Just to take a look at the shoreline zoning booklet. On page 18, there's a mention of docks there.
Yeah.
And the definition for docks is on page 43. Okay. Next on the agenda is Brookview Estates, discussion of the escrow requirements and a possible revision to the notice of decision. However, they have requested this to be tabled to the next meeting. I believe that's so. Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to table this issue until the next planning board meeting.
Make a motion that we table discussion for Brookview Estate subdivision until the next planning board meeting.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And including in your packet, thank you, Julie, the listing of the requirements 1 through 20 that are in our regulations, their projections of the cost, and 150% of that with respect to the escrow amount. So that's there for our review for the next meeting.
Can I also
Sure.
point out that there is a provision in the, it's in the subdivision standards. There is a provision, I hate to even mention this, but,
7.2.
well, it's actually it's on page 41. And it says that, item 12.1, it says the subdivider applicant may, if I'm in the right place here, may submit a written justification to the planning board for a waiver to or modification of these subdivision standards. Blah, 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 blah. But to my knowledge, we have not received any written requests for a waiver, have we? So, I mean, if the applicant I'm not trying to prejudge or state anything, I'm just saying is that it appears that the planning board could waive this, but then also back on the other, I think the other one was that on page 15, 7.2.1, it says you have to have a certified check. So that, I mean, that, in other words, it says you have to have a certified check, but back in the other, later on, it gives some weasel words in there that the planning board, but I don't know how, it would be up to the applicant to provide some documentation as to why the planning board should even consider this. And I would suggest, of course, it is tabled and see what they come up with, if they have a reason. I just wanted to point out that there is something in there, but we'll see.
The schedule values, that's 724 on page 15, and that coincides with that checklist that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we got all that information, right? That's good. And they never asked for a waiver in the
No.
past, did they?
It was discussed.
It was discussed a couple of times.
Right.
Where we are right now is the ordinance does require that the town retain a certified engineer for the road work. And I have been talking to someone who submitted an agreement, a sample agreement to the town manager for review. And hopefully we'll enter into an agreement with him. And he would like to review that list to make sure that while those numbers are a projection of what it would cost the applicant to do each of those functions, the engineer will determine what it would cost the town to do those functions should it come to that point. So there are some, a lot of things that come into play.
Who pays for the
Property owner.
property owner? So you're right, you're right. So in other words, they gave us an estimate,
Right.
but there's no independent verification of that. So we'd have to hire somebody to verify
They
that.
will review that and just make sure that the costs of all of those different functions are in line with what it might cost the town, which is very important.
Just looking at the numbers, like the cost for the paving seems awful.
Well, one of the things we're not concerned about is costs.
You say it's awful low?
Yeah, well, not just the cost, but the material estimate.
Oh, yeah. I see your point.
9 tons for paving, that's less than a typical driveway would be.
And we are concerned with that only because if something should happen and the applicant is no longer in the picture and the town has to pick up and finish the project, we have to make sure there's enough money there for the town to do what needs to be done. So, that's a very important list.
Yeah.
And, if the town does agree with this group that, I talked with last week, they will do a pre-construction meeting. We're hoping the first week in January, that's coming up really quickly. And he will have reviewed that, and that will be part of the dialogue.
So we don't need, the planning board doesn't need to be involved in any of that part of it, do we? As far as the hiring a certified engineer and all that, so it's not our function.
In listening to what he represents the town, entirely, just the town's interests are what he is there for. And a lot of the process itself will fall under his purview. I thought that maybe at the pre-construction meeting that maybe at that point, maybe the planning board might want to appoint a member to be a part of that, just to make sure that the dialogue about process it corresponds with the ordinance. That was just my thought.
That's a good idea.
Because I didn't want to do that on my own fruitfully.
Anyway, but they'll be at the next meeting, you think, or not? Or the Brookview?
I think what their concern was, is why it's come back before you, is because the escrow wasn't established, it has to be established within 45 days.
I'm sorry, you said that, didn't you?
That didn't happen, so what they're trying to do is make sure they have everything in line, so that when they come back to you for an updated notice of decision, that 45 days will be ample for them to do what they need to do. So, I think that they're planning on the first meeting in January, but they're keeping an eye on that 45-day window.
Yeah.
That's up, okay, good. Good point.
Any other questions, comments on this matter? Okay. Next on the agenda is Rustic Dreams, review of the information regarding the site plan review. No response from the applicant.
Nothing.
A letter did go out.
Certified letter, haven't gotten the postcard back or the monthly letter itself, but as we know, postal service is a little slow these days. So they're very busy.
I was gonna say, when she's driving by my place at 6:30 at night, she's working.
I get my mail between 8:30 and 9 at night. most nights.
That, so I can't complain about her. She's,
So once again, Chair will entertain a motion to table this matter until such time that we do get a response back from the applicant.
so moved.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
What do we, this is a point of question. What happens if they just don't respond?
That's a good question. Does
I
the
mean, then do
CO
we-
have the authority to go in and put a cease and desist?
I don't know, Julie and I were discussing that today, whether it should come from the planning board. I'm not sure that I have the authority. That may be a notice violation, maybe don't have to come from the planning board. I don't know if that's the right terminology. I
I
don't
don't know that we've ever, have we ever done that? I don't know that we've ever done that.
I mean,
The direction from you.
from my personal perspective, I would think that you would be well within your authority, as they did not come and present a plan for the expansion of the paved parking lot with a plan. So they have changed their ground coverage, the impermeable surfaces. They did get a permit for the new septic though, correct?
They brought in a plan.
That's not-
They brought in a plan.
It hasn't been permitted.
Mhm.
I don't know if their intention is to even install it,
I think it's already been installed.
Well,
Well,
the septic that was installed for was, I think, 120 people, and they're saying the capacity is 170.
Right.
They did submit a design that would allow for 170 people. Honestly, I haven't looked to see what the difference was. I haven't, I just think maybe this is a question that should go to the attorney and
So normally though, you're the enforcement piece of this whole puzzle, because we're not. Correct? No, I'm just saying what I think. So I mean, I think if you think they're in violation, you can say, hey, stop.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know,
Well, and I think because there was that lapse of what would come up with 29 months.
It was a while.
Yeah.
That triggers a new site plan review. They're functioning under a conditional use permit that was written in 1995. So that's what I would base it on. I mean, I think the facility is very well run.
Oh, yeah.
It's very well operated. I would just like to get on paper.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there, the only other suggestion I would have, I wonder, Julie, have you tried to call them or anything?
I have not.
The only suggestion I would have would be if we don't hear from them, then maybe if we have a number to call them and say they're gonna come to the meeting or not. If they say, well, we're not coming, well, then that's just an indication that we need to talk to the lawyer or the select board to send a stop work order or something to them, stop operational order. Because this is something that is not unprecedented. I guess it's sort of unprecedented. Usually people come in, we ask them to come in, right?
don't you do the stop work.
Oh, yeah.
Not the select, not the board.
It's her.
Put it in your.
I was gonna,
So Julie, if you could
Julie can help.
contact them via phone, email on top of that as well. And just strongly encourage them to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, here's another example of the origin was a conditional use permit
Yeah.
from way back, with which I think the applicants felt conveyed with the property, but from the significant amount of time where it wasn't in such use, that has caused it to lapse, and just like to get the formality of getting the updated information to issue a revised notice of decision.
Yeah, because some of the material has changed. I mean, some of the
Oh, yeah.
property has changed, so.
And I'd just like to point out that the property owners have been very diligent about any improvements they've done out there. They have taken out plants and followed through on it as well. Other than the pavement, I don't know where that falls, but
Yeah, so I mean, if they've run, no, I don't think there's any desire to stop them from running a business, but you gotta follow the rules, and if this thing is lapsed, then we gotta fix it, that's all. It's just
make sure the i's are dotted and t's are crossed.
that way everybody's covered on the thing, the town too, of course.
So that has been the
Table.
okay. Updates from the code enforcement officer.
the only update I have is the complaints that we received out on the district and places like that. I did meet with Chris, I can't remember his last name.
Armstrong?
Pison, yeah.
Oh,
He's been very cooperative. I went out and listened to his operation. He shut things down and started to run. I'm beginning to think that maybe there is a noise out there, and very annoying noise that possibly it's not coming from the Hisson site.
Were you able to hear the noise, the other noise?
I went down to Rustic, which is through the woods, a mile and a half away from,
2,000
a mile and
feet.
a half away from Hisson, through the woods. I mean, when I went down Old North Berwick Road, and I mean, it was like more like 3 or 4 miles. I did hear the hum down on Rustic very
Huh.
clearly. It was, it's very prevalent. And
But there was no way to identify it, where the origin.
I, okay.
Well, just, we have a letter here from Mr. Peter Bolyard, who is now with us, detailing his concerns about this steady hum. I myself drove down there a week ago, well, last Thursday, and at the very end of Rustic, I heard a steady buzz hum, occasional beeps from heavy vehicles in reverse. I heard this on Drown, on Gray, on Rustic. The only reason why I think I didn't hear it on Hammond was because there was a plane flying overhead at the time. Stopped off at the boys' lot, but heard mainly just trucks and front loader sounds there. Down to Stonyfield, did not hear that particular sound. It was more like a swishing sound of tires on wet pavement type of a thing. Mr. Bolyard, would you like to give us some information from your perspective?
Yes, certainly. I didn't think it was on the agenda, but I wanted to show my face here tonight, so glad.
Without objection?
Senior discussion.
Nope.
As you know from my letter, 35 or so years on Rustic Lane. Seen a lot of changes over the years. I think when we got there, the site in question, the historic site, I think a friend of mine who's a hunter said it's this giant granite mountain, which you wouldn't expect in the flatlands of the old North Berwick Road. Along the years, it became developed. Over the years, there was different activities on the airstrip next door. Name is escaping me right now, but we all know it's there. It was a turf farm. We went through the years of a period of Du Bois and sludge dumping and waking up with that smell. And, these things all came and passed. They came and went. The noise in question, certainly began noticing it this summer. Leaves on the trees, maybe muted at some, probably did. But it was definitely there. It was definitely present. But, as all these things we've talked about in the past kind of came and went, the optimist in me said, okay, this will come and go. This is a new piece of equipment, maybe. It's not optimized. It's running for a period of time. Whatever the case. As we got into the fall, it was there, and you begin to take notice of it more and more. We're not away as much in the fall on day trips and such, so it's like, this thing turns on, it wakes me up at 7 a.m. I mean, you can hear it, boom, start. I mean, there's nothing subtle about it. The thing kicks in, the thing starts running. Most days, it runs until 5 o'clock, give or take. They knocked off early today. I found it interesting that we did a visit. It wasn't running, but as I went and listened to the last meeting transcript, it sounded like you'd given a notice you'd be visiting. So I think you were treated special. Basically, it generally runs all day. They shut off for lunch today, in full disclosure. I don't know if it's in the air that there are objections and they're trying to appease or not, but the sound is just constant. I was wrapping gifts today, as I said, for lunchtime, just before 1 o'clock. I was in a room wrapping gifts, headphones on, a podcast playing, and whoom, there it was. Oh, lunchtime's over. Went to the window. Sure enough, it's back. It's that prevalent, that disruptive.
Can you determine which pit the sound is coming from?
Oh, it is theirs. I mean, one day I took a drive down.
Stonefield? Or Du Bois?
Oh, Stonyfield.
Okay.
I went there one day. The sound. And there was no activity whatsoever at Du Bois, but Stonyfield was operating, and there was the sound at home. Same sound, same.
Just quick, was that dust machine they were talking about?
I haven't been there to witness. I stayed at the base of the driveway. I heard what I needed to hear. Correlated with what you said, when you're there, it's almost as loud at my house as it was at the base of their driveway. Now, I don't know if this is because they're on the hill and it carries from up there, or what the dynamics are. And I don't need to know, and I'm not an expert in that sort of thing. But, you know, to their perception, it may not seem that noticeable. However, you know, as people have said,
Bothering you, that's.
traveling around it's get that whole end of the town going.
Now, I've heard you've spoken to Chris at Stonefield. Could we encourage you to continue this dialogue and maybe ask him to go to these locations farther on down North Old Northborough Road, so he could get an appreciation for the how the sound is carrying.
I just wonder how they can't hear it. Are they saying they can't hear anything at the site? Is that what they're saying?
I went to the site and everything was shut down for me and then turned back on one by one.
Yeah,
I say everything, it's 2 operations. It's it definitely was not the crusher. That's a whole different sound.
Okay.
And it's not
Mhm.
as annoying as a hum.
Okay.
The hum that I heard over on Rustic is very annoying, and I'm not sure.
So it's like low frequency resonance, not the volume, it's just the tone, the resonance that it's playing at, just kind of like
I mean,
fingernails on a chalkboard.
Yeah,
Great
I
state.
mean, number one, you know, it is a domineering volume. In the email that I hope you all got, there were 2 sound files. One of them of an afternoon when they shut down. And most striking thing is to start the file off and, you know, just move somewhere in the first third
Mm-hmm.
when everything's running. And then you go to the end when everything's had a chance to clatter down. And I mean, that is the impact on the neighborhood. Yeah, it's that droning frequency, and I'll be honest, at some point, it becomes not only the frequency, not only the tone, but frankly, outrage at this intrusion on my property.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's an escalating irritation.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to drive by, so I haven't heard it myself, so.
I will forward the email to you.
Yeah,
Also, that you
because-
can listen.
we have a copy of it, but it shows the file. We haven't heard the
Okay.
file. We haven't heard the audio.
Okay,
That's my
yeah.
point.
And the reason why, because this wasn't on the agenda,
Mhm.
I was really bringing it to you for direction where you want to go now. That's what I'm asking.
Well, our jurisdiction comes in hours of operation, and also whether or not the operation interferes with the enjoyment of others of their property.
Seems like that's the case. Sounds like that's the case to me.
Most definitely.
Sound is as much an environmental thing as, you know, dust and debris and all that. So it really needs to be addressed.
Yep.
So it'd probably be important just to figure out what's causing the noise.
And like I said, my visit, and what was told to me, it was not the crusher. That's a whole different sound and it's not,
Okay.
I mean, it's not noise. And I was within 20 feet of it. The dust collector, and what I was told, the dust collector comes on only when a truck is being loaded. And they have 12 trucks a day. So I didn't think, I mean, it's difficult when you're purposely listening for something. It didn't seem to me like it was that dust collector. I'm not an expert, I can't say that it wasn't. I just would like to check and make sure that it wasn't from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't know how we do that or how you want to approach it. I mean, you give me the direction.
Now, has this been going on for the past several years, or has this started this year?
My recollections go back at least to summer.
Okay.
You know, as I said, originally when this will pass.
Yeah.
Right, but you didn't hear it last year. I mean, I'm
Last
asking.
year, is it
I'm
a
saying,
year ago? I'm gonna say probably not, not absolutely.
no, okay.
But definitely this.
And the equipment may have been there, they may have changed settings, they may have reoriented.
Right.
I don't know, is this like a stationary structure of equipment or is it a trailer?
It is, it's a system.
Yeah.
And,
Well, our problem, we don't have a town engineer. I mean, we don't have, we didn't have anybody on staff who was current, shall we say, qualified to analyze noise. So if we hire somebody, if the town hires somebody, the question always going to be who paid for it. And, but on the other hand, there's a legitimate complaint.
Yep.
So, I mean, that can't be
It is a
ignored.
legitimate complaint, and it's not the only complaint we've received.
No,
And that's what I'd like you to understand. I think there's 3 different people at this point.
oh, at least on the Facebook page.
Okay. I don't go on Facebook.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I've stopped short of rabble rousing on Facebook.
I go on Facebook.
Sure,
There's been several people that have
I've
commented.
seen mentions.
And, you know, I even asked, do you have a different operation here that you haven't had before?
Yeah.
And, the desk collector evidently has been there quite a while. It's required by the DEP.
I'm just curious if possibly as they get further and further back in the pit, the sound resonance coming off that back bowl is being magnified and directed.
This is fairly close to the road.
Right, but if you got a sound that is like screaming into an
Bouncing back.
amphitheater, it's coming back and magnified and changed.
Phenomenon that can be going on here.
Yeah,
Without
it,
knowing the evolution of the site and everything going on in there.
yeah, I'm just, we got to find out what's going on.
So in
How
terms
we
of
do it though.
Direction,
I think what I
continue,
would like to see at this point is for it to be a posted agenda item.
Yep.
And have the property owner here. And,
Is there any way we could, I agree with that. I think it should go on the agenda, have the property and abutters come at the same time, try to get it hassled out. Is there any way we could get a recording to play when the property owner's here? Well, okay, I haven't listened to this, but I mean,
I
this,
don't personally have them right now, but
no, I know, but if this is audible.
I
Oh, yeah.
put the laptop in and you can definitely.
Because, I mean, it's, if the property owners is sincere in their desire to mitigate the issue, then they'll take some action. If they're not sincere, then it's a case of looking to get our legal guy involved, I guess, because we don't have a town engineer that we can send out there. And unless if we hire somebody, we have to pay for it. So it seems like we give them a chance to listen, say what the story is, and then if there's no response there, then go towards, get the lawyer involved. What else it is.
So this is every Monday through Friday?
I mean, Monday was quiet because everything was soaking wet.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
actually Tuesday as well.
and you don't hear it on weekends, the holidays. I
Weekends
mean,
and holidays quiet.
right, because there's nothing's running.
so let's place it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Invite representatives from Hillsong to be present. Let's play the tape and see what feedback we get from them.
There's got to be a way to dampen the sound. I mean, they make sound dampening equipment.
My career has been an equipment engineer, engineering manager,
Mhm.
way back at Shape and Biddeford, subsequently at IDEX in Westbrook. At IDEX, I had some systems doing this type of work. For years, I was at Nichols. Nichols is full of Nichols Portland on
Mm-hmm.
Congress Street in Portland. That place is loaded with dust collecting, do a lot of metal grinding in there and such.
You still can hear, huh?
Mostly.
Yeah, I have that same issue.
Enough to be annoyed these days.
Yeah.
And none of that equipment is of that nature. And these are serious companies that.
Yeah.
There's either a silencer that can be added to this thing or a
Gotta
valve
be
tunnel, it's a
Something should be.
insulation or something.
Technically should.
Yeah,
All right, then.
Well, we don't have any instrument. I'm sorry, we can't solve the problem, but it's got to be addressed, obviously.
I very much appreciate the attention, the awareness. And I'm glad I stopped by just to show my face.
Yeah, no, you provide good information, man.
Zoning is for
If there's
everybody.
Anything in the interim that I can try to collect. I'm happy to do so anyhow. If anybody wants to stop by and witness.
Yeah.
From my perspective. I'd be most
Maybe
welcome.
I would almost-
a log of some sort.
Yeah, I actually was emailing myself notes today. Up 8:00 it started. 12:30.
Yeah,
So,
timelines is
maybe
good.
I'm gonna
Too, I
start
think.
to do some of that.
Documentation is the key here, when you get down to it. Because it's gonna cost somebody some money. I mean, one way or the other.
You know, I mean, I think about, resale values in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
If I came to buy a house between my place and there, and I showed up on a weekday, like, what the heck? I don't want to live with this for as long as I'm there.
Well, something's changed though. If there's-
Yes.
Yeah, it's-
Obviously.
It's concerning too, it's supposed to be a piece of equipment, it's only supposed to run for a few minutes.
Well, we don't know what it
That's not what's
is.
happening.
So something.
Yeah, this thing wound up and howled for 5 or maybe 10 minutes. How many? 10 trucks a day, 12 trucks a
It
day?
said 12 a day.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense for an operation of that size either, but
Yeah.
I'm not understanding the driveway count. You could put a game camera, I guess, at the general store and just kind of watch their activity, but I'm not going there.
Okay.
All right, on the agenda for the next meeting, and
Yeah.
we'll get to the bottom of this.
Thank you, folks.
Resolutions. Well,
You're
Mr.
very
Foley,
welcome.
Thanks very much.
Just sign the sign-in sheet by the
Oh,
door,
sure.
just to log that you were here.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And anything else from the? in terms of-
Well, we had this-
Uh,
There's this letter in here that Kevin wrote.
Yeah, I want to get to
Oh, I'm
that. Just to go through the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In terms of old business, we'll come back to that. Got a couple of things on that too. Did everyone have the opportunity to read through the minutes for the
December 6th.
December 6th?
Merry Christmas to you.
You said, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I read them. No changes, no edits, no nits or picks.
All good. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Make a motion, we accept the planning board minutes, meeting minutes for December 6th.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll get this signed here. Pass that on. Old business, Harper Residential, and anything there?
Nothing new from them, but I got an email today or yesterday from, you remember Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Martina?
Josh Martino.
Okay,
Actually, it was last Friday. He sent me an email. He just wanted to let you know they are in the process of getting the topographic survey done.
Okay.
So he's still thinking out there.
Wait, now which
That's
one was
the,
he?
The cabins,
so glamping kind of a thing.
Yeah, the one that doesn't fit into our zoning.
they look like
That's right.
cabins, dog friendly.
Oh, yeah, that's right on Brock, near the subdivision then, isn't it?
No, at the other end past the orchard,
Yes.
Oh, all right.
closer to Alfred.
I think they were kind of thinking along the lines of, is it Hutopia and Sanford?
That's right.
Yeah, like yurts and so
I don't
on.
know that he was thinking yurts, but I think he was thinking that concept.
Yep.
Shall we place them back on the agenda under old business for the next meeting, or?
I think we wait until, however that's supposed to go.
He replied to my email that was dated last March.
Oh,
So
okay.
he obviously didn't forget us.
All right then.
Can I just quickly say, I
Sure.
dropped the ball, I guess I was daydreaming. Harper Residential
Mhm.
subdivision, is that what the name is?
Yeah, that was,
So what happened, because some of you know that not so long ago, the selectmen voted to discontinue that road or abandon it.
Yes.
That kind of changed things for them. So I think they're working on that now. Because now that land that would have been a road for them into where they're going, now reverted back to a butter.
Right. And one of the things that abandoning that road did was it landlocked a number of parcels, which several of them are municipal owned properties. And as we know, you cannot sell a property without ingress and egress.
And I think what happened is the verbiage that they used, and I will, when this comes up again, I'll make sure you get a copy of that. It was registered for your registry of deeds. Was that there'll always be an easement there. But I'm not sure that the board would be okay with having access. I think, the only access to a subdivision across an easement. And maybe that's why, I think that they're working very hard to buy up some of that land.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is that those people are in Ellsworth, so it just gets more complicated.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that to you, that I believe that's what they're working on now.
I was just gonna say, when do so far they've given us what, a preliminary? Or did they give us a final
We had the preliminary, but because.
of
the
all that
asset
issue with the
changed,
road? Yeah.
Everything's changed.
So they
I
may
don't
have to
know
go
that
back and do it again.
They really kind of do.
We have to do it, probably another site walk on the whole.
Right, because the entranceway was originally down in the,
Right. The part that's
down the
abandoned.
private section
Okay.
and then swung down, then they've had to kind of angle it off and kitty.
And originally there was some disagreement or uncertainty, better way to put it, as to exactly where Lyman was out. there.
Right.
The board.
So it's made it very complicated for them.
Okay.
So I do believe that the original plan is just so obsolete that
Okay.
Yeah. And,
It's gonna be a-
you know, Lyman would benefit the taxes. Alfred would be burdened with the maintenance.
Okay. Let's see.
I,
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
excuse me.
Sure.
I did have one thing to note. I meant to send you a message about this earlier prior to yesterday, but of course with power outages and all that. Waterboro had a public hearing last night on ADUs.
Mm.
So if you wanted to go on their site and watch the recording from that, I don't know, I saw the ad in the paper and thought I would point it out to you.
Now, what's the issue with the ADUs?
They're just working on the ordinance to allow the ADUs based on the LD 2003,
Mhm.
you know, getting it into their ordinances.
Does
Julie,
it-
send that email notice to those on the ordinance review committee as well?
I didn't send it to anybody. I
Okay.
just, because it's been a crazy week,
Mhm.
I just happened to jot a note today to remind you guys
Okay.
that it happened last night,
Oh, okay.
if you wanted to watch the recording from
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, which town?
Town of Waterboro.
Waterboro.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I think the ordinance review committee is scheduled to meet 6:30 tomorrow. So, you know, make
Mhm.
mention of that to them as well.
Do you want my sticky note?
I got it right here.
And I'm,
Anything else?
I'm just going to reiterate my urgency for the selectmen to put a moratorium on the town against short-term rental properties. The short-term rental is a commercial property.
Mhm.
If you are down on a body of water, which is shoreline zoning, and you are essentially operating a hotel,
Mhm.
that is not allowed. It's a,
Already, literally putting that in writing, Kelly, and sending it to the select board, to the town manager.
Yeah.
or select
I mean,
board.
this is an issue
On the
nationwide
agenda. Yep. So that it could be
addressed.
let's see.
So are you gonna do that?
I think I have several comments from other towns that have had moratoriums put that I'll forward
To the town manager?
to the town manager, or to the select board care of the town manager.
Don, you mentioned before the letter that Kevin drafted.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't think I ever sent you any comments on, I'm not saying I had comments, but I think I flew in and I didn't answer you, I'm sorry. I appreciate you writing it since I so, I mean, I encouraged you to write it, I think.
I think you kind of said, Kevin, you will write it.
I didn't say that, I never said that.
But what Kevin addresses in this is when we have an applicant in front of us and they may have some tax issues, do
Oh,
we
yeah.
hold it in abeyance until such time that they are, that those issues are rectified? Or do we include it in one of our, in our checklist for the site plan review? So I think it is great the way it is.
Yeah, I think
The only
it covers the waterfront.
I think all we need is just a vote to send it forward and sign it. So Chair will entertain a motion to approve the draft that Kevin set forth in terms of communicating these concerns to the town manager. Second,
Second.
any further discussion?
I
Although-
was gonna say, I think it's a little beyond our purview for a potential number of reasons. However, I would like to get a legal standing, and if it is a tool that we can use and leverage, let's use and leverage it.
Well, I think you gotta look at it in a reasonable manner too. because
Yeah.
You can say, you know, if it's current year taxes, it shouldn't have any effect on it.
Right.
If they're not.
Well, I think Kevin.
But if they're over a year, then
Yeah.
I think it should have an effect. And why should somebody dig a hole deeper?
And if there's a history there of
Well, some people have the
debts.
habit. Every year, they wait to pay their taxes, and then you get lien after lien. By the same token, there's discharge after discharge. But if there are multiple liens, then there's an issue. So I say, let's do it.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
John Hancock.
Yeah, I think it's very good, John. Yeah, I think I see a new role for you.
I do, John.
You got it.
Kevin, one thing I like to bring up is Don's excellent work here of the site plan review checklist. I think it's quite complete. Gives us something to go by every step of the way. If not formally adopting it as a standard tool, at least adopting it as a guideline, maybe putting it that way.
I think a guideline is more appropriate because if you're gonna make it something, I mean, because it could be changed, maybe somebody can make it easier to use. And I was fixing, quote unquote, to work on that, but I haven't yet, but I might. Anyhow, I would suggest to use it as a tool, and then if it got to the point where it was desirable, you could always add it to the bylaws, and that's more or less official. But I don't think that has to be, because this is all just stuff out of the sequencing to try to get the data so that the NOD is easier to put together, because if you wait till the last minute,
Yeah.
then you can't get the stuff. You just have to go back and look at minutes and stuff, and it just takes time, and nobody has the time to put in on it. So,
Yeah, living document guideline instead of policy.
Okay, sounds good. Just as that, and Julie, if you can run some copies of this so we have them handy with every new application, we have this in hand and just fill it out as we go. Great.
It keeps us honest that we don't miss any steps.
Yeah, and that's, I mean,
Public
that's,
hearing or something like that.
Exactly.
yeah, I don't think anybody wants to miss a step, but it's pretty easy to get out of sequence. And then we haven't had any issue. I mean, then people will say, well, you guys aren't following the ordinance, and then it gets into another whole bag of worms. So we want to follow the ordinance, but it's easy to get out of sequence.
Or if there's time delays,
And sometimes it gets into that too.
things get forgotten. Oh, wait a minute,
So
we're
not
at this
voting.
point.
We're not voting on this, but you got the scenario that you're describing, though, is what we just had earlier in this meeting.
Yeah.
Conditional use permit from way back, and you're trying to catch up and rectify the situation present.
That, and it's documented for scrutiny.
And I hope you don't mind, got a couple of things I wanted to check on. The Mary meeting, folks, Cousins, that notice of decision was modified with the
Mary Morning.
Mary Morning, I'm saying.
Yeah, that was.
That was.
But I don't know, was that signed or not?
I think the last thing we agreed to was insert all the other dates on which
On the meeting.
we.
Add this year's meeting dates
discussion
notice.
of that.
Right.
But did we sign?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
okay.
I'll have
So-
that next time.
I was gonna say, I don't remember getting the email saying, is this notice of,
Yeah, I think that the modified language was satisfactory to council from both sides.
How about Brenda?
And, okay, I do. Fred, anything more on Cottage Road, the Army Corps
I
engineering
haven't heard
stuff?
another word, but I'll put that on that. I know that, Joe, you put us in touch with the contact person, and there was some dialogue going back, I haven't heard anything since, so I will reach out on that.
There's someone from
Good point.
Senator King's office, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's in Biddeford.
Where was that again? That was,
That was the movement, when we went over there,
Yeah.
Cottage off of South Woodbury Road, there was some,
right.
The backfilling of wetland.
What was the name of the property again? You just had it a second.
Maxim is the name of the property
Maxim.
owner, Maxon.
Okay.
And it's 39 Cottage, something like that.
Or 36, yeah, it's right there.
It was up to the owner to push that, but
And it was agreeable to make
It
changes.
seems
Just
like it
needed
was,
the,
but-
feedback, the guidance from the Army Corps.
it must be flooded over there by now. It's not
Yeah,
probably
in the
floating.
neighbor's basement.
That's what, anything else in terms of what concerns new businesses?
I can't think of anything.
I'll mention it. Oh, okay, all right. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Do we have agenda, you have the agenda for next time?
Well, Julie, you want
She'll put it together and send it out for our approval or modification.
to, I think that Mr. Gaspin, Brookview, Rustic will be back on there, and Hisson as well.
Plus I have a couple of others, potentially on the next one. On a spreadsheet on my computer.
Good.
They're written down,
And the next date will be January 3rd.
I believe so.
Yes. Fast.
Are we officially done?
Just a vote. All those in favor of adjourn?
Aye.
Hi.
And all those out there, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. Kwanzaa Festivus.
24.
Cecile, are you there?
Yes.
I don't think she logged in.
Oh,
She said it depended on how she felt.
okay.